Welcome to the Edge Performance Podcast, episode 5. Just a couple of shout outs. Congratulations, Owen and Julia, on their wedding day. Owen's finally done it and got down on one knee, so congratulations. I know you'll be an amazing life together, especially when you move to Thailand. Second shout out is to a couple of people actually. Thompson Commercial, Pete Atkinson at Renault Trucks, who have recently sponsored our Teenage Return to Sport scheme. They've helped us massively get hundreds of kids back into sport from serious injuries, so thanks for them for that. Right, on to our guest. I'm really excited for this. It's a gentleman that I've followed his career for years because I just love the way he played, his attention to detail and just his grit and determination to get where he's been. I'd like to thank Shaun, Kenny-Dowall, for coming on board and talking to us about his career. Thanks for giving up your time, mate.
No worries, Edo.
Firstly, congratulations to you and Georgie for the birth of your daughter.
Yeah, it's been amazing, bro.
Life-changing.
Life-changing. Best feeling ever being a dad.
Unbelievable.
I think that's one of those main goals that you look forward to as a person, you know. Yeah. So it's a massive achievement. I think it almost surpasses anything you do in life when you have your little dude at mate. It's the best feeling in the world.
Your mindset changes pretty quickly, doesn't it?
Changes, doesn't it? Yeah. So does your sleep pattern, bro? That's good.
Yeah.
You get used to it.
You won't be getting much, will you?
No,
you won't get much sleep, but it's enjoyable every bit of it.
Oh, yeah, you just adapt and crack on, bro.
Yeah,
and you just find a way, and you don't mind because it's your little one.
Still both working as well, aren't you, at the same time?
Yeah,
so
working as well.
Going
Yeah. Bit of a break now in the pre-season and the off-season, so you're just really relishing that time with them and
enjoy it, mate.
Yeah,
it goes like
that. That's what everyone says.
One guy always told me, he said, "Don't miss your kids grow up."
Yeah,
and I thought, what is he on about? My lad turns 30 next year.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, God, he's right. Where is the time gone? Literally. So it goes quick. So enjoy every minute of it, mate. Enjoy every minute.
Will. Thanks, bro.
Shaun, I want to jump into where it all started, because your career has been phenomenal. And we'll get to some of the stuff you've achieved through that. Where did it all start? And what was your motivation and your focus to start your journey of not just rugby, but fitness and health and well-being?
I think it started when I was probably like 4 years of age. And when you wake up in the morning and you just look forward to playing rugby. Every day you have the kid who used to sleep in my boots. Yes. And that's when that enjoyment, I think that's why I played the game to start off with, because I loved it.
Yeah.
You play with your mates, it's competitive. And I just found that was my passion from an early age all the way through like to my teenage years. And then it wasn't until I was about 13 or 14 that I realised that I could actually do something with my rugby and really take it serious. And that's when I really started focusing on trying to make a professional career out of it. And like I said, I did it because I loved it and it was just my passion. And that's why I started.
I think people forget that, don't they?
Yeah,
especially
they do,
younger generation coming through, play sport because you love it.
Yeah, you
not
love
just
it.
because it's you're forced to do it.
Mate, I always say it like to the boys, you never play a bad game when you're happy. So that's the key. When you're happy, when you're enjoying it, and you forget why you play it. When you get through your professional years and you get used to that week to week grind and it become repetitive, but you always got to take it back to why I started. And I started because I loved it.
I think that's massive.
I think it's so important. Yeah, you can't forget that because you can get lost in the day-to-day sort of stuff you have to do. And mate, you got to remind why I started, and from a young age, like I said, I just loved it, and it was my passion. Amazing. And it still is now. I'm still involved. 36 years ago, so that was 32 years.
Wow.
That I've just loved what I've done.
I think that's a really key point that you're giving to the boys there, because it's easy at 15, 16, 17, 18 to go, oh God, here we go again. But 20 years of playing rugby, it goes like that, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and before you know it, you retire and you're like, what do I do now?
And then, mate, on the other side of playing rugby is getting a real job.
Yeah,
that's hard.
That is tough. So, especially if you're going into manual labour after doing
exactly.
that.
So you've got to enjoy it while you can and make the most of the opportunity that you're there and wake up and be grateful and enjoy what you do every day. And it makes a massive difference while you're there.
It does.
Your productivity, your enjoyment, your performance, everything goes through the roof once you enjoy what you do.
I think that's life in general, isn't it? If you're happy, everything's better, isn't it? Work's better, family life's better, everything.
Definitely, man.
It's a great point to put across that. How big an influence were your parents? Because obviously your dad was an Olympian, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Two-time Olympian.
Yeah, two-time.
Won a gold in shot put, didn't he?
Gold in shot put.
Silver.
No, gold in javelin.
Oh, javelin.
And shot put and silver. Yeah, silver and shot put. So I didn't have to look very far for inspiration.
Yeah, I can imagine.
He was at the Paralympics.
Yes.
So he lost his leg when he was younger. So, having him and watching him train for the Paralympics and to be an athlete, throughout his whole life, that was, good habits instilled in me from a young age. And I watched how he prepared and, how mentally tough he had to be, obviously having his injury living life and still having to go to work. And, he was a tradesman, so he was out on the tools and never stopped him in life. He always found a way to make the most of life and being an athlete. And so, like I said, I didn't have to look far for inspiration. My mum was a legend. She always looked after us as kids, and she was a sprinter as well.
Oh, wow.
When she was younger, so she was a champion. My grandfather from my mum's side played rugby and provincial level in New Zealand. So I come from a pretty sporting background, so it was easy for me to fall into that path. And they sort of give me the guidance and direction and love and support growing up to make me go down the path that I did.
And parents do everything for you. They take you everywhere, don't they? Every training session.
Yeah. And they made a lot of sacrifices, and I can't thank them enough for what they did throughout my life and career to help me get to the levels that I did, because you're nothing without your family.
100%. 100%. What was it like growing up in was it Auckland?
Yeah, it was Auckland, New Zealand.
What was it like growing up there?
It was good, bro. We had a good childhood, and it was just immersed in sport and family. I got two siblings, sisters, and we had a good upbringing. And
were they sporty as well?
Not really, no.
That's mad, isn't it? I can watch you three to...
They're more artistic, and they love their music and art and stuff like that. So we're just individuals. But like I said, my parents and my old man sports mad, and he loved rugby league. He played rugby league, bro, with one leg.
Wow.
Yeah, he used to like get a mattress and like tape up his leg, run out and pull up his sock over his leg and play rugby. So
that's
like I said,
unbelievable.
It was tough, bro.
The mental toughness there.
Yeah, I know. Right? It was even funnier watching people tackle his artificial leg and like get smacked on the head on the side. Or like there was a couple of times his leg fell off when he was playing rugby, and his leg got taken off, and then he hopped over to score a try row one time.
Can you imagine the shock on people's faces?
We're all laughing on the sidelines, and everyone else can't believe their eyes. Mate, it was good stories, and like I said, I didn't have to look far for inspiration about the levels of mental toughness and limits that you put on yourself, because that was all broken from a young age by watching the way that my father
do you think this is something I asked Fekka actually, do you think that's born into your mental toughness?
Oh, definitely.
Because it's amazing how many coaches go, we're going to flog them in pre-season, make them mentally tougher. And we've tried it for years, and it doesn't work, does it?
No,
you're either born with it, or you've either got it or you haven't.
And I think that is a product of your upbringing.
Yeah,
he's 100%. Instilling it and saying, mate, don't worry, fucking, there's worse things that you'll get through this. The amount that he pushed me as a young kid. Yeah. Like at the time, I was going, you're being like full on, or you could say that was over the top. But looking back on those years, that's probably what made me the person that I am today. Yeah. So, he had me training early in the morning. And real disciplined with the way, because I wanted to be a professional sportsman. And he knew what it take.
Is that part of the Kiwi culture, that discipline? Because I heard Fekka and Motu speak about that a lot, about very, very disciplined and structured within your family environment. Is that part of that?
I think it's about being respectful. You respect your elders. You do what you're told. You don't overstep the boundaries, or you get in trouble.
That's another dying art, isn't it? That's another dying art. Respect for your elders and things like that.
Respect for your elders, and like you said, I never crossed that boundary with my old man. He was pretty tough bugger as well. So, but like I said, I'm very grateful for those lessons that I got from a young age. And
made you the great person you are today, mate.
Definitely, mate. Yeah, for sure.
Class. Mate, one all plain sailing, either was it? Were it the Warriors to start with?
Yeah, Warriors,
2004, 5, 6,
well, they have like a development. Yeah, and I was like playing all the local like juniors in my little province, and I was travelling up to Auckland. I lived about an hour out of Auckland, and probably 2 times a week it was like a development sort of like Warriors team, and then they said we're cutting you. Yeah, so that was but that again was a blessing in disguise. It just like drove me on more to prove them right. And I get it. It's hard. New Zealand's one club for a whole country. Yeah, it's so it's like, mate, it's very limited in its opportunities, and so that sort of...
and then fairly young age, 16, you moved to Sydney?
I moved to Sydney. So that was on the back of that. No, well, there was two of my friends. Okay. And we all played like local. My old man was the coach too at the time. So he sort of encouraged it, He said, there's one team in New Zealand. If you go to Sydney, there's 12 teams and like all local junior competitions, and there's more programs and systems where you can.
And straight away, do you join a?
We just joined like a local team. Yeah, no,
Newtown Jets was it?
No, it was called Clover Valley Crocodiles.
Right,
that team, so it would be just like you have here, Cottingham Tigers. Yeah, it was just something like similar. You know, we were just enrolled in the local comp, and we just flew over from Australia, one-way ticket. But it wasn't just given to us. Like, mate, all the two friends we had, we didn't have much money when we were growing up and stuff like that. So I had to get a job, bro, at 15 and save all this money. So when I moved over, because my old man was gonna fly over, help set us up, you know, get a house and make sure we're all right, and then live in a house when we were like 15 or 16.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. So we were like, again, another good life lesson, just go to work. I had to go to work and learn how to pay bills and save and pay rent, and like, mate, it was tough.
Not many kids know about that, even at 18, 19.
But it was a gamble, you know, at the time. But I was pretty young. Yeah, it worked.
Was it 2006 you signed for? 2007 you signed for the Roosters?
2007, 2005, I think we moved over. But
that was
I think
quick,
within 6 months, you know, I was training with the Roosters. Of moving over there, we were enrolled in the local comp, and then all three of us were playing really well, and they asked us to come up and train like in a like sort of academy environment. And so we got our opportunity pretty quickly, which was good. And then the next year we were playing under 18s. And the next year after that, man, I was like, David went for the Roosters.
2007.
2007, yeah. So I went like quick.
What a journey that is.
Yeah, it was journey.
From being rejected to being at one of the best clubs in the world.
Yeah, but mate, like I said, that was sacrifices. My parents ended up moving over. Because I think my old man moved over to try and set it up, and he thought, bloody hell, this is like real good, and started speaking to the locals, and you know, he got a job, and then my whole family moved over. So like I said, big change for everyone. But that was on the back of me wanting to, you know, aspire to follow my dream and play rugby league. So that's what I was talking about earlier, and all the sacrifices that they made. And I had an older sister too that, you know, stayed in New Zealand. So she just had kids in that. So like, you know, she missed out on like the family moving to Australia, and so that's a sacrifice that she made as well. So
it's a whole family sacrifice.
It's a whole family. So it's it affected all us in different ways. But yeah, like I said, I'm forever grateful for them to, you know, allow me to at such a young age to chase that dream. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't given to us. We had to work, and we enrolled. We were looking for jobs as soon as we landed in Australia, and then we were working at like, I think it was Burger King, bro. The first one, it was like minimum wage. But we're just like, mate, we'll just do what we can to get some money in the door while we found a house and got settled, and we were training in the afternoons. Like, I think we were running like 5Ks to the field because we had no transport. So yeah, it was tough to start, but mate, it all paid off in the end.
100%. What took you from that park footy player to all of a sudden being a Rooster?
Mate, it was a lot of hard work. Like we were talking before, the dedication and, you know, I guess focus, you know, on, I knew why I was there. I'd made massive sacrifices to move my family to Australia. So I didn't take that for granted. So every opportunity that I got to train and stay focused, I was pretty good and disciplined and, you know, the reasons on why I was there. So I never missed a session, and I was always doing extras, and even at a young age. And when we're in that environment in the Roosters, you go, wow, how good's this? So you don't want to lose that opportunity. You want to progress. So
because you don't know how long that's going to be, do you?
You don't know. And that's why I was there. I knew I was there. I was disciplined, I was focused, and I think, like I said, that sort of carried me through my whole career. But it was instilled at a young age. But even when I look back now, I had those traits from, you know, 16, 17, 18. When I was given that opportunity, I didn't want to lose or, you know, let that pass by without giving it everything that I had. And, you know, there were temptations, and, you know, I wasn't always perfect, but I'd always revert back to why I was there and, you know, the opportunity that I had. So
who was coach then?
It was Ricky Stewart.
Was it Ricky Stewart? So tough as well.
It was tough, bro.
Taskmaster,
it was tough. He was real tough. But it was awesome. So we were training, and then like just seeing the guys you watch on TV, I was like, whoa, what's going on? There was like Fitzy and Manicello, and it was like the Roosters like golden era too. So Freddie Fittler, man, it was a big shock coming from the shores of New Zealand, and just seeing those guys just cruising around, and it was an awesome experience.
I bet. And I bet the training was pretty vicious as well when it
was good.
Charge.
It was good, and I think there was another level up because they have more resources. The programs are a bit more in depth, and they take it a bit more seriously. Obviously, in a professional environment. Definitely. So that really helped my development as a player as well by having really good coaches, good mentors to look up to. The strength and conditioning was really good, and they helped me develop my body and work on all the little areas that I needed to work on.
That's sometimes people that don't get the praise there, isn't it? Sometimes they just see the head coach, they don't see everything that goes on in the background with nutritionalists and chefs and cooks. And
it's a huge team, and mate, everyone's got a role to play, and everyone is so important to the success of the team and the club, and they all have to play that role, and they all have to be connected and working towards the same, common goal, or else it just doesn't work.
Some journey. It's amazing how, 10 years at the Roosters.
10 years.
Not many people are as loyal as that nowadays, are they? To do 10 years at an NRL club as big as the Roosters is fair going.
It was a really enjoyable time, and I got to do it with some really quality people, and that's what I look back and, I'm grateful for the friendships and the people that I met along the way, but also the achievement and what we were able to achieve. And there was probably like a core group of us where we all started in the younger grades, and it was sort of like a development of the Roosters of the next phase where they went through the golden era, and they were like rebuilding, and so they were developing like a core group of us that we sort of just came through the grades together, and then we managed to end up almost playing 10 years together. And so, man, it's like it worked. It worked. We had some really good years, and the Roosters are a quality club. They've been at the top of the game for 20, 25 years now, where they're consistently in the finals, and the standards that they set, for individuals and as an organisation, it just helps you individually to make that step up when you're in a real good environment.
And some good senior players around you as well that you respected. So,
senior, like I was saying before, some role models that made you better people by watching them and the way that they prepared, and how they passed on that knowledge, and some great coaches, some great people, and like I said, it was just a real good environment to thrive in.
Love that. And then quickly you got representative honours as well.
Yeah, it was quite cool. I think we were just talking about
it.
Well, in the same year I debuted, played for the junior Kiwis, and New Zealand had a tour to England, and someone got injured in the first game. We played Australia and Wellington, and then they said, I played the junior Kiwis, played like pretty decent, and then they go, mate, you're off. You're going on Kiwis tour for my first year in NRL, and then, mate, that was a bit of an eye-opener. It was awesome.
I can imagine.
I was still a young chap then, but mate, we had the best time of our life. We didn't. I also played in the All Golds game, so that year, so I got to play with like some of my idols. It was like Stacey Jones, Vagana, Ali Lawatidi, Ruben Wiki. It was like representing them, celebrating 100 years of rugby league, and we played the Northern Union, which is like all the English in Great Britain. It was an awesome opportunity.
What a quick ride.
It was quick.
From being rejected from the Warriors to all of a sudden.
So playing with, mate, that was an awesome experience, being able to represent your country. I only played one game on that tour, but just to be around that squad of professionals, and
from a learning perspective,
as well, and just to be in that professional ultimate top level of where you see yourself as a kid, and that's sort of one of your dreams to,
of course.
Especially as a kid growing up in New Zealand, to put on the black and white jumper is all you ever think about. So it came at a really young age, and I was very grateful for that.
And pretty quickly success as well. So 2013, was it? You won the grand final?
Yeah, well, it was actually, we played a grand final in 2010.
Yeah.
And mate, so that was like 3 years later. And we probably had a really good season. And like I said, we were all pretty young at that age. Would have been 21, 22. And Brian Smith was the coach at the time. And he was in, like, we were a great attacking team. Yeah. And we were probably just too happy to be there.
Yeah.
We'd probably overachieved that year, and but to make a grand final, like I said, we lost one, and that sort of drove us on, gave us an experience of what it takes to get to a grand final, and made us more hungrier to get the next one. You know, like when we still aimed, and we still had some pretty good years in between, but 2013 was just
unreal.
The best years of our life, like another thing you talk about dreams and winning a grand final is why you play the game.
Not many do it, do they?
Not many do it. So to get that opportunity, and I look back now, and like I said before, the team that we had that year, you just go through it, it's like ridiculous. You had some ultimate professionals there as well, and just the way I was playing next to Sonny Bill at the time. and he was just freakish. We had Tui Vasashek, Michael Jennings, James Maloney, Boyd Cordner, Jared Hargreaves. It was just like one of the ultimate teams. So as I said, you look back and when you win, a grand final with the people that you go through all that hard work with, and like I said before, it wasn't just us; it was the whole organisation that you just work so hard to achieve that one thing, and everything has to go right. And that year it did, and it was just it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah, I bet.
It was real good.
And then you had, was it 2 Four Nations wins as well with the Kiwis?
We had a real successful period there. We were like the first team in 70 years to beat the Kangaroos like 3 or 4 times in a row. So we had some real good success.
Because they were invincible at the time, weren't they? Untouchable.
They're unreal. They always sort of you win, but it was a great period for the Kiwis where we had the same thing. We had a core group of guys that were at the top of their game, and we used to love going away on tour. It was like that culture that you get, and it's like a brotherhood, and you just enjoy each other's company, and same thing, all working towards the common goal.
And then mates for life, aren't they?
Mates for life.
Mates for life. Yeah.
And when you have good success, you look back and you go, we enjoyed those times very, very much.
I think that's one of the biggest parts of success is actually genuinely being mates.
Oh, massively. How connected you are is everything. How much time you spend together, how much you believe in why you're there. Like having that purpose and buy-in from your squad and your team members is important in any organisation. I think business, 100%. Rugby league, how much you connect and how much you know each other on a deeper level.
Do you think that's an individual thing, a player thing to do that, or do you think it needs to come from a higher place? So you think head coach or CEO?
I think, mate, it's up to the people up top to set their environment for everyone to be themselves and feel comfortable and vulnerable to show who they really are. And then you care about your mates, and then when you're on the field, you'll do anything. And when you respect the person next to you and they won't let you down, that's when good things happen.
Wow, unreal. Moving on to Super League, obviously. Massively successful career with the Roosters, 10 years. Then you went to Newcastle for a little bit.
Yep.
How did you find Newcastle?
Mate, I really, really enjoyed it. I think 10 years is a long time in one place. And I sort of, wasn't doing very well in my career at the time. Sort of get into a bit of mischief and whatnot. So it's a great sea change for me to, get out of Sydney, get out of, what I've been doing for the last 10 years. And it's a bit of a slow-paced town, and they gave me an opportunity to sort of step up into like a leadership role, and that's where I sort of started growing up from a young man. I was always professional in my environment, but I was a bit of a rascal too. I had some tough times.
I don't think people almost understand with us being in England how difficult it is in Sydney, especially. Because you treat us like Premiership footballers here, where you're just being pretty much hounded at you. You're paparazzi everywhere, scrutinised and everything you've done.
And mate, the pressures of every performance is scrutinised. There's a lot more goes on off the field as well. There's a lot like I said, media attention's a lot more full on, and so to sort of step out of that and get away. It took me back to why I played it, and then even more so again when you come over here. Mate, in this environment, the Super League has just been so enjoyable, and it took me back. It's been like full circle where I'm, really enjoying what I'm doing again, and I really love going out on the weekend and just playing the way that I want to play. And takes you back to the enjoyment factor. And like I said, your level and performance just keeps going.
Because I suppose it's easy to start to lose that a little bit when you've been going as long as you've been going.
As long as you can. And I was in that same environment. Probably had bad habits that were creeping in that I'd sort of like had throughout my career, and I was getting into a bit of trouble. And then to be able to step out of that and look back and take the lessons that I needed to and grow up and mature into a proper adult. I was always professional, but you need to be a full-time professional. It does catch up with you.
But eventually. You forget you've almost not lost your childhood, but you've lost part of your childhood, because at 16, 17, you've moved and you're working and you're doing all this stuff. So I suppose you need a bit of mischief in there as well, don't you, along the way?
Well, there's all life lessons as well. You have to go through that.
Learn from them,
you learn from them, and you become a better person. And as long as you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over, and you grow as a person. And like I've had my fair share of mischiefs and challenges, but like I said, I won't change it at all, because like you said, you grow and you evolve, and then you end up becoming the best version of yourself because you learn those lessons and you just upskill and become the man that you're meant to be.
Yeah, amazing. Did you come across Sharpie on your travels?
Who's that?
Peter Sharp.
No,
did you ever come across him? Didn't you?
No,
he coached all over the place. Legend of a guy, absolute legend. Good fella. One of the best coaches I've worked with. Absolute. I'm surprised you haven't worked with him.
I've heard of him.
I think he's got every tracksuit. So why Super League? Why Hull KR?
Mate, I always wanted to play in the Super League. I used to love watching the Super League when I was younger. I used to watch like the Bradford Bulls because there was a good Kiwi contingent there that I was just like, I used to love the way they played. And Wanakolo and Shaun
big.
They were awesome, man. And then I just knew early on that I wanted to experience living in a different country, playing in a different league. I love the style of play that Super League is. It's a bit more, I don't know, free-flowing and more ad-lib, and they throw the ball around a lot more, and they play the season in the middle of the summer. I just knew I wanted to experience it from a young age, and then I got an opportunity. I think it was probably 31 or 32, and Tony Smith was the coach at the time, and I sort of was at a crossmate of whether I was sign a 1-year deal in the NRL or I could come here and get a 3-year deal. So it was just a no-brainer for me. It was an awesome opportunity. He sort of explained that, that KR weren't in the, place they wanted to be. They've sort of struggled, but, they've got a plan to work up to higher rankings, and, they had a plan of, new investment coming in, and there was a great opportunity for me to be a part of that, step up as one of the leaders, and that sort of really excited me as well, to step into a leadership role and help evolve the clubs. And that's the way he sort of sold it to me at the time. And I was really excited by that chance to, one, be able to, do something that I've always wanted to do, and then two, being able to step up in that role and try and inspire and help change as well. So the rest is history, man. It's been one of the best moves that I've ever done. It's been so good, so enjoyable.
So many good people behind that club, and Neil's ploughed his life into that.
That's what I mean.
He's a great guy.
People, man. The fans and support base, they're so passionate. I think that was really important for me to understand the people that I was playing for and really embody their traits and, love and passion for the club. And, I've really felt that the way they've embraced me, and my family's been, real class.
Good. You won't like what I'm going to say now because you're a very humble man. But for me, and I've had this discussion with many, I think yourself and people like Weller Haraki changed that club from the inside. That's my personal opinion. I saw you during, the lockdown times and stuff like that when we was allowed to train, and you was relentless with it. You and Weller was here every day training for hours and hours and hours, and, you got around the boys and got them training, and it was amazing to see. I believe that yourself and Weller were a big part of Hull KR's change in terms of leadership, and the younger kids. I remember speaking to Jez and people like that. They really looked up to you and still do. And I think you guys have sort of like almost were the catalyst for that transition. I don't know if you agree with that, but I know you won't big yourself up too much, but that's my perception, having spoken to many of the younger lads there, that they've developed their leadership skills based on you guys.
I appreciate that. I think Weller was massive for me personally too. He made my transition here. He's a Kiwi. He was one of the best, nicest people that you'll ever meet. He lived 200 metres around the road from me, and I think that really helped my journey be a lot more comfortable. But he's always got he works hard too, Weller, and he's a great guy, and he brings people together as well. And so when you work hard, and I didn't really change too much about, I always worked hard and I've always been professional, and I just think those younger guys needed to see what it actually takes to take that next level. So I think we really did create that environment. When they see us doing it, then they know that's the level and standards that was expected of them. Weller was the captain at the time. I was fresh in, and I wanted to, rip in and make a difference. So we went after it, and they sort of looked up to us, and that that was the standard that they needed to get to. So it's a credit to Weller and everyone. It wasn't just us and everyone. Like I said before, there was a lot of people that put things in place for that to happen. That culture change, that mentality of, Rovers. If you rocked up and bit FC 2 times a year, that was good enough.
That was good enough.
I hated it too. We needed to change that. We had to work hard. Everything's you have to earn and fucking work for everything. So, I think there was some, solid foundations back in there, even though we didn't have a good season that year.
Yeah.
I personally didn't have a good season either. It was tough for me in my first year, but we were working hard.
Yeah.
Tony Smith installed, he brought us in extra days and he said, this isn't good enough. Like the way that it's been, we've got to really take that next step. If we're to, evolve as a club and you've got aspirations, then we all need to step up. And I think, that was the message, and we put things in play now that we're starting to see the rewards for back in, obviously this year as well.
And the good thing about that is, like we said, the young kids are following that pattern now, and they're going to lead the next generation that are coming through based on what you guys have set in place and the club set in place as well.
Yeah, well, it's a credit to them. Yeah. Like I said before, they've bought into it. Now they've seen that sort of, mentality and hard work works for them.
Yeah.
And they're starting to get the best out of themselves. They've played in some big games. They're becoming more, professional as time goes on, and it's just the cycle of what we were talking about earlier.
And that sets the foundation for the club for
the
10,
next
20, 30
absolutely.
years now, doesn't it?
It's up to them to pass on those, like that culture and standard to the younger guys coming through. And that's made, like I said, everyone's playing a role in making sure, we're at a pretty good standard now, but the challenge is to stay there. Good clubs and organisations, they the St Helens and Wiggins, they've been there for, how many years?
Yeah, decades.
And everyone needs to, is aspiring to that level of success, and it takes a lot of, people to get to that point.
Yeah, and like we said before, there's some really good people behind that club, right down to the legend Bonesy. He's put a shift in that lad. Yes, put a shift in.
The amount of, I was gutted that we didn't win the grand final. Like for people like Neil, who's just, over the years hasn't had much success, but he's been, the staple of that club for 30 plus years. So, he deserves this good time that, as a reward for all the hard work and sacrifice that he's put in the year. And, hopefully we can get some bloody silverware in that cabinet soon, bro. That's the goal.
Like we spoke about earlier when we was chatting about, I think every semi-final you get to is a learning curve.
Yeah.
And once you've been playing in them big games, it's like you said at the Roosters, all of a sudden then you're winning the next one.
Yeah.
So it won't be long before that.
It just makes you hungrier.
Yeah, it does.
It does. Like, how can we improve? This year we were that short. So we need to go back to the drawing board. Everyone, personally, individually, collectively, we need to take that next step and work harder again, because this year wasn't enough. But it's a progression of what we've been in the year before.
100%.
We're constantly playing and getting to the finals and semi-finals, and the next involvement for us is taking that next step.
Definitely.
Getting a trophy, and we're all on the same page, and we're working hard for that.
Yeah. How do you find the era of rugby league, where we're heading in terms of rugby league? Because probably over my time, I almost see like the art of vision is starting to disappear a little bit. So you listen to Bevan French about, playing park footy, and he won't play in the structure, and he just saw things, and it showed in the final, didn't it? He just sees things.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a dying art? Do you think we're overcoached sometimes now? Or is it coming back a little bit?
I think, Willie's real good. We have structures and systems, but if you individually want to, back yourself and you see something, that's encouraged as well. He's never ever trying to, pigeonhole you into one area. But I think, those are the best players that can break a game open. Mikey Lewis, he comes up some great individual moments, and I think it's that the game and players like that can, pull something, they win you big games. You come up with moments, and that was the difference. Bevan French comes up with a moment. So I think we do need to encourage that a lot more. Because like you said, in the big games, they can win you, be the difference. So.
And I think that starts from the grassroots as well. I watch a lot of teams train, and it's amazing how many coaches, even 10-year-old kids, structure. Just let them play what they see. Let them make them mistakes to then learn from that mistake. And
I think it's a catch-22. You have to have both.
Yeah, you do.
And understand and assess where you are in the game and what you can do, and what's important in that moment of the game.
Definitely.
Assess how the game is. But from a young age, it should just be back your eyes, play what you see, and then as you evolve, those will be.
They're still with you if you need them.
Yeah, for sure. You can still pull that out. That you can still be yourself and express yourself within a structure. The great players do it, and when it matters most.
Yeah.
Talk
me through your sort of evolution of, should we say, holistic? Because you've played a long time. very rarely injured, very, very robust. Do you put that down to internal, what you eat, what you drink, how you've looked after yourself?
Definitely. I think probably 80% of it's up here, mental, the way you prepare, the food, the way that what you put into your body, how you prepare throughout the week, preventing injuries, which I know you're very good at, recovery, all sort of stuff that I picked up from a young age. I had some great role models coming through, and Anthony Minicello, he for the same reason, he had a back problem. And I sort of had groin problems. So they were both sort of related where I had, 4 bouts of groin surgery. Oh, wow. And I was probably, I wasn't a full-time professional at that point. I was probably drinking too much and all that stuff. So I sort of had to step away from that. I would have been 21 or 22. And I had to do something different than what I was doing. Yeah. And so I went down the path of, more holistic. Yeah. Was into yoga and then, organic eating and that sort of like progressed as the years went on. But I can definitely, say that all that extra effort, that dedication, helped me stay on the field. Yeah. If I'm looking after my mind, the thoughts that I was telling myself, I was meditating, visualization and just trying to find that edge, the edge.
Yeah, I like that, a little drop.
And just, it takes so much more than just showing up between the hours of the training times, going up to do your recovery, sitting in saunas, ice baths, and any little thing that you can do nutritionally or holistically, it does give you that 1%ers, bro.
Yeah, it does.
And I found that throughout my career, if I was constantly had a good routine where, those things were put in every week, every day, every morning, and I was ticking the boxes, then I knew I'll give myself the best chance to put in my best performance on the weekend.
Do you see boys now following that? The younger boys and things like that?
I think we're starting to put a bit more in the programs now. I think it's become more mainstream, but it's up to the individual as well, because you can only lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink it, it's up to the individual to take that responsibility on themselves. Yeah. Your body and your mind is the key to having a long and fruitful career. So if you invest in life, if you invest in your health and your performance and you try and find the edge.
Run it. I agree. And that's what I preach to everybody basically. Like, do you want a long life but a healthy life? It's all right living to 80, 90, but if 30 of them years you've been in pain or you've been on tablets or whatever, it's not a quality of life, is it?
Yeah, so definitely not.
If you can start now, it gives you a long life.
It becomes part of who you are.
100%.
It becomes part of your routine, so you don't actually have to try to do it because, it just becomes part of your routine, and you wake up, you eat healthy. Even when I'm retired, I'll probably fallen away from it a little bit, but it's always been the staple that I'll go back to. I've been up here running this morning, just because I know I need to look after my health. Mentally look after the mind. I'm in a better place when I'm doing all those little things that I know get the best out of me. And I think that's so important.
And that then passes on to your daughter now as well.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're eating the best foods and George is eating the best foods, that's all getting passed to your daughter, and she's seeing that, and
for sure.
She's going to live a long, healthy life.
That's going to be her habits. She
sees
their environment and the habits and routines that we do. Hopefully she can live a long and healthy life.
Yeah, amazing.
What holistic practices do you think have been the most beneficial for you throughout your career specifically?
I definitely think, mate, I fell down a path of like yoga.
Right.
Yoga, I was like real pedantic on yoga, so I was doing yoga 2 or 3 times a week, hot yoga, and I fell into this one type that I just do at home. I used to do at home every morning and like meditate afterwards, and it just helps like your body and mind. You realize when you go on a journey of yoga, that's not just for the physical, it's actually for your mental, and that really helped. Food is another massive one. What you put in your body is what you become. Yeah. So if you're eating the right foods, and that gives you the energy then to be able to show up every day and be energetic in who you are, and probably those 2, I'd say. Yeah.
I think food and water are like 2 of the biggest things. If you can find the best quality water, the best quality foods, and your thoughts.
Yeah, like thoughts, meditation, man.
Huge.
Visualization, gratitude, being grateful for what you do have. If you put in and you're great, then more of that will come back to you. Yeah. But if you don't spend the time thinking about those things, then it's just not going to happen for you. No. You need to
we see that just
practicing your mental game, your visualization. You need to think about what does your life want to look like in the future. You don't have a plan, or you're not striving towards or thinking about or grateful for where you are, then your goals are always, further down the track.
Yeah, I love that. That's what we preach. We preach all the time. Like, even when you talk to men of, my age, or, the testosterone's rock bottom, it's on the floor, and they're struggling, mental clarity, they're struggling in life, they're struggling at work, they're struggling at home. Just by changing some simple things like decent quality food and water and meditation and thoughts can raise your testosterone quite significantly, so everything else becomes a lot better around it.
Yeah, for sure. And it breaks down the barriers of of what you're going through as well.
Definitely.
So like I said before, it was a really helped balance everything out. I was always on at training, but when I come home, boom, just like shut off and visualize and
some people can't do that, can they?
Yeah,
they can't switch off, can they?
But mate, physical activities, another massive one. Recovery. I think that's really important. It just slows you down. You're at work and on all the time, but what are you doing to recover and give back to yourself and your body and 100%. Your mind?
We use breathing patterns a lot for that, because everybody now lives in this sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, and they're very rarely in parasympathetic. So we use a lot of breathing patterns and meditation and relaxation methods for that.
That's massive. Yeah, so it definitely helps. Shut down after a big day, and just like, mate, you just become present, don't you? And everything else happens from that spot.
It still amazes me, and that's why I keep going back to you and Weller and the changes you've made within the groups, the difference in different clubs. I've been at a few, and you see some that are really, really high level in everything they do, and you go to other ones where it's 11 who are finishing yet. The difference for me is just ridiculous, and that comes from that leadership first and foremost, and then having the individuals to then follow that.
Well, it's behaviours, isn't it? It's behaviours of what's expected, the standards that you set, the people that are driving it, it's the buy-in of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And it can be draining, can't it? For especially, you'll know now being a staff member, it can be draining for 11 and a half months of the year to keep preaching that and keep preaching that and keep preaching that and keeping your standards high.
I think it's about keeping it fresh too. Different things, adding like you're saying, breathing in and changing up a recovery day, or
100%,
just doing little different things here and there just to keep the boys fresh, but making it enjoyable too. That's so important. If you're enjoying what you're doing and you're enjoying the company that you're in, then mate, everything's so much easier.
You're right there. You're right there. Probably then, how do you think you've developed that leadership role? How have you? Was that just something that was always in you? You was always a leader, or was it something you've developed over years from the players that you've worked with, from your mum and dad? And
I think it's definitely developed. I think I had some aspects of myself that was, a natural leader in the way that I played the game, the way that I went after my training, and sort of that was sort of always come naturally to me. But as you get a bit older, you realise that it's not just about you. It's about how you can influence others, and you set the standards, and you can read the room about what's needed in that moment, and how can you get the best out of other people. I think that was a big turning point for me when I changed it from how can I get the best out of myself to how can I get the best out of the team and the environment around me. And I think that's what leadership is, isn't it? It's making the people around you better. So I think once I developed that and understood it, and I had some great mentors that I tried to learn as much as I can. So it's not just it wasn't, I had to work at it a lot, but as I've gone through the years, I can say that I've definitely gone better at it, and
it's becoming easier.
It's becoming easier. It's becoming more natural. It wasn't always natural. I wasn't a great speaker in meetings, and that sort of developed through practice and time. You have to practice and put yourself in the limelight, step up and present, which is uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable, but with time and practice, like you're doing this now, you said it's uncomfortable to me before, but it gets better with time. Everything that you do, and you put yourself in that position to be able to get better at that skill, then you're going to develop over time. So I just every moment that I got, that I tried to put myself in those positions where I wanted to make myself better, but also help the team be better as well. So
I think it's a big thing about. I remember Radders going to Samoa for the World Cup recently as one of the coaches, and he'd planned a video session for, I think, the backs it was, and Swali. He basically stood up, 18 years old, and just went, "Rads, do you mind if I take this?" I just thought that Radders was just like in shock, just been at Castleford, he'd been with Ull FC, and getting the boys to talk was almost impossible. And this 18-year-old kid's just stood up and gone.
That's
I think
impressive.
that's
so
really
important
impressive.
too. But I think if you can create an environment where the younger boys aren't afraid to express their concerns, or they feel comfortable enough to speak up in videos, and I think you're in a good spot then, because everyone's not afraid to share what's on their mind. The more that you can have those uncomfortable conversations, or
I think that's
the more that you can challenge other people, the better, because then you get it off. You work through solutions and problems, and it's just a better culture and environment when everyone's contributing as well.
And the young kids can just sit there really quiet, but they've got something to say, and sometimes they dare. I think that's really important.
Well, it's good for them. It's good for their growth. It's good for their growth and development. So even if you're not, like I was saying before, putting yourself in those uncomfortable positions is not only going to benefit you in the rugby environment, but when you step outside of rugby and business, and being comfortable to share your mind and challenge people and speak up and share your thoughts is a great habit to have outside of rugby as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's life. It's part of life, isn't it?
It's life,
Did you always have aspirations of going into coaching, or was it just?
I think I always knew I wanted to be part of the game. Yeah. Definitely, like when I retired, I think I just, like I said before, love rugby league. Bit of a rugby nerd. Like I love to study the game and watch the game. So I think it was just a natural evolution. And I was grateful to Willie for giving me the opportunity. Yeah. I was coming to that point of the body and the mind was getting showing up. The recovery was coming a bit harder. And I was content of what I'd achieved as well. So I could have kept playing, and I probably had a few opportunities to keep playing. But for Willie to give me that opportunity to step into the coaching and sort of help develop that transition of stepping out from player to coach was the one that I just couldn't turn down, to still be a part of the evolution of the club.
Yeah, amazing.
I wasn't able to get a trophy, but now I can still contribute in that area. So, still working with the coaching staff to still attain those goals, which still drives me as an individual as well. So, no, it's been really enjoyable. Willie's a great coach, and we've got some experienced coaches that I'm learning. It feels like I'm starting at the bottom again. But I've got all those traits of, working hard and, sinking my teeth into what I need to do to get better as a coach.
An unreal role model for them kids that you're training. I think it's a bit of a lost section almost in my years of Super League, almost that transitional coach for the kids that not forgotten about. I think years ago they used to be called shield holders. These young kids that are coming through that are part of the first team. Do you feel like sometimes, probably not okay actually, because they've always had Dave Hodgson, who's a great kid
awesome.
and a great
like I said,
coach.
He's a role model of mine. I look up to him. He helps me. Legend. But I just think it's really hard here. Like those boys, they play 12 games a year. You need to be playing more consistently.
100%.
12 games a year is just not enough. And then they're getting flogged and doing the con sessions every other day. So there can be a tough spot for those boys that are sort of on the fringes. But to have that development, and I've really enjoyed seeing the growth of those players. That's really fulfilling as well. So like we were talking about before, making other people better, and you see where they were at the start of the year to how they've progressed in the team environment, and hopefully that's just the beginning for them to be able to step on to greater things and take that next level and become part of the first team.
Yeah, I think it's a really big stage that's almost forgotten, where they're very close to being a first team player, but they just need a little bit more skill or a little bit more education.
Well, that's sort of been my job this year, which is, I've really enjoyed it. It has been tough, and keeping those boys happy with only playing 12 games. But like I said, it gives me great pleasure to see them come on and develop and, go off and play in the champ and play well, or, be this close to, debuting and knowing that they're closer to where they want to be. And
I've been followed some of them quite closely, and they are very close. They've had great
now.
Seasons as lone players.
Yeah, for sure. I think, mate, the more that we can develop those players, and the majority of them are local boys too, and I think that's so important for especially for the whole teams to have that local juniors come through, and those are the success stories that we want to see, and something that as a club we want to really try and encourage.
Yeah, and next year even more exciting. A couple of one-year-old mates coming across to bolster the squad. God, he'll be a bit of an inspiration for some of the boys coming over, I reckon.
Yeah, well, I think he's got to be one of the top front rowers in the game over the last 10 years, and he's uncompromising the way that I play, and he was one of those guys that I was talking about that we went through the journey of playing our whole careers together, that 10 years, and went on to play for the Kiwis with each other, went away, we're, best mates. So it's like a full circle moment to be able to bring him, and, have him in the squad is just going to be so important, and the development that he'll give to those younger guys that probably looked up to him for years and years over watching him. The way that he plays he's pretty tough, uncompromising player, and he'll be a great leader for the squad and the boys going forward.
And then Mickey Mack as well, another unbelievable leader. Tough player.
Another great experience. To have that experience is really important too. And I think the leaders that we've already got are going to be better for having these two seasoned pros coming in, and the uncompromising mentality that they'll bring in, and the experiences and
more education in them big games and final games.
Absolutely, those boys have been there and done it, haven't they? So that's like you said, all our boys are 1 year better for having gone through those big games. You bring these other guys with that experience, and hopefully we can go that one better next year.
Yeah, that's unreal. What's your motivation now? What do you get excited about now? Obviously, coaching. We've spoke about your passion. As an athlete, I suppose it's easy to get excited. Well, I've got a game at the weekend. I've got this. When you retire, I suppose it's hard to keep that excitement and motivation, but it sounds like you've found your niche already.
I have. It's been so good. Like, I'm still in the game, and the goal is still to win big games. And so I think if you don't have that as your motivation as a coach or as a player, then you're in the wrong game.
You're in the wrong game. You've had it. You have it.
I think now too, like you said before, life's changed, bro. I've got a little baby girl, and that drives me every day. To be the best dad that I can be, and be a good person for her, and show up and provide for my family, was just giving me like a new sense of purpose, which is just beyond any other rugby game that I've ever played, bro.
What do you think the future holds? Do you see England being a long-term thing, or?
I'm not sure. I know I'm locked in for the next few years, which is awesome, and how, like I said, KR's been a massive part of my life and still is now. So, mate, if I can stay here and get one of those trophies, and who knows what the future will hold. I just like to, like I said, live in the moment, do as best as what I can, and the rest will sort itself out down the line.
100%. Couple of quick ones.
Yep.
Toughest player you've played against?
Oh, it would have to be the big Englishman, probably Sammy Burgess. He's tough, bro. He's the boy. He's a big boy. I used to look up, and like South Sydney, mate, he was playing 13, and they used to stand at A off a scrum, like in yardage. I'm like, oh god, you just got to carry straight up. He just used to whack every time. But
I think that grand final summed him up, didn't it? When he broke his cheekbone in the first minute and
one
carried
of
on.
The toughest Englishmen, to play the game, and to watch him, and it's good to see him here. Doing well in the Super League now.
Doing really well.
Him or Greg Inglis was always tough too. He was so strong. Like probably those two were just the two of the greatest oppositions that you come against. But you look forward to coming up against those guys too.
They challenge, are they?
Challenge. So it's like, how are you going to play against the best? Which is
toughest player you've played with?
Oh, well, big fella. He's tough, bro. You could just, like I said, he sets the standard, and he would take on a whole forward pack by himself and be able to change the momentum of a game by, a big run or a big hit. But, not only that, just to see how tough he is throughout the week and the way he trains, and like you said, the culture that he, brings people together and inspires on and off the field. There's no tougher man.
Big signing for Rovers. Big signing. That's pretty exciting.
He's still playing well too.
Yeah, he's playing really well.
Still playing really well, so that's what I'm excited about.
It'd be interesting to see how he adapts to Super League, because it's so early in the season when it started so finicky, when it was the red cards and the yellow cards. I'm thinking, how's Jared going to cope with that?
He'll be fine, bro.
He'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it's a credit to him. He's probably coming over really early to get settled in, and
that's good.
It just shows the mentality. He's not. I know that's the type of bloke he is. He wants to come and make a difference. So he'll be all on, bro, ready to go.
I love that. I love that. Most skillful, freakish player you've seen?
Probably Mitchell Pearce. He was really just an ultimate competitor. Come up with a big play. He was real played alongside him for many years. So we had a great combination where he used to just know how to and when to give me the ball, and yeah, he was just, I love playing with him. He was just an ultimate competitor. And like another one, we played our whole careers together.
Yeah.
Sort of follow. He went to Newcastle when I went to Newcastle, and then came to the Super League when I came to Super League. So we're
Is he coaching now? Is he coaching now?
I think he's doing a little bit of everything. Yeah. I think he's going back to the Roosters and doing a bit with the academy stuff. But he's still here and floating around in Hull and in France as well. So he's everywhere, Mitch. But a really skillful player. Yeah. And just another one for that tough mentality.
Most irritating. Most irritating.
Oh, geez, that's a tough one.
I know. I remember having a discussion. I think it must have been COVID, and where was we playing? We was playing you guys, and I was coming on the field with some water, and you turned around to him and went, "How the effing hell do you work with him every day?"
I know you're talking about, but I wasn't going to say his name. Yeah, he was just the piss, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I'll go in, bro.
The most freakish player I've ever seen. So much skill.
He just knows how to get under people's skin.
Yeah, but he could get under someone's skin.
He's just comfortable doing it, and then like, mate, he'll go and just kill it on the field.
Yeah, so skillful.
So skillful, yeah. Oh, mate, another one was James Maloney. He just used to poke you all the time. And he's just like this little guy just chirping in the background all the time. And like, he was on your team or whether he was just the same the whole time. And it didn't matter what mood he was in or how he played, he was always just constantly. Good lad.
But some people would break that with that, wouldn't they? Yeah, some people would break with that.
But it's good having those characters in the game too. It breaks up
it does.
Everyone can be a whatever, and then he'll just.
I think that's why Mike is so good as well, isn't he? Because he's got a bit of that in him.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
mate, just coming to a close, if you could leave a message for the young athlete of any sport coming through, what do you think that message would be?
Well, just be all in. Don't take what you have for granted and do all the little things because they're actually the big things. You know, if you're methodical in the way that you prepare, you make the sacrifices off the field, make mistakes but learn from them, and then, just be all in, be 100% committed to what you're doing and leave no stone unturned because, when you go all in, great things happen.
Yeah, they do.
So,
Shaun, I can't thank you enough for giving up your time and coming on our podcast. I really appreciate it. I've loved it. I can't believe that's gone so quickly. Absolutely loved it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
All the best for next season and good luck to you and Georgie with the little. Thanks, mate.
No worries, bro.